You just saw the rent notification hit your phone, and for a second, you paused, because that number felt heavier than usual. And right after that, you opened a property app, just to check, just to imagine. And now you're stuck in that loop again. Am I wasting money or saving myself from something worse? You tell yourself it's fine. Rent is flexible, less stress, no long-term commitment. But then you see someone your age posting keys to their new place, and suddenly it doesn't feel like flexibility anymore. It feels like you're falling behind. You close the app. But the thought stays. You've been here before. You've told yourself you'll start saving seriously next month. Then next month becomes next year. And now it's been, 3 years of almost ready? There's that subscription you forgot to cancel. 499 rupees every month. Not a big deal. Except it's been running for 18 months. There's the food delivery nights when you were too tired. 800 rupees here. 1,200 rupees there. You don't even remember what you ordered last week, but your bank account does. There's that one time you opened a home loan calculator, typed in your salary, saw the EMI, and immediately closed it, because something about it didn't feel right. Not impossible, just suffocating. And then there's the quiet part, the part you don't say out loud. When someone asks, "Why haven't you bought yet?" you say, "I'm just waiting for the right time." But what you mean is, "I don't know if I'm making a mistake either way." Because renting feels like leaking money, but buying feels like locking yourself into a life you're not fully sure about. And what makes it worse is you're not even sure what the right move is anymore. Because everywhere you look, someone is telling a different story. Renting is throwing money away. Buying is the best investment you'll ever make. Property prices only go up. EMIs are better than rent. And you've heard it so many times, it started to sound like truth. But here's the part nobody slows down enough to explain. You were never taught how to actually compare these two. You were taught opinions, not math, not trade-offs, not long-term consequences. And you were too busy earning, surviving, upgrading your life to stop and question the system itself. Because this isn't just about renting versus buying. This is about how decisions that look similar on the surface quietly lead to completely different lives. And this is where it gets interesting, because the real trap isn't rent, and it's not buying either. It's the way you've been taught to think about both. You've been told renting is wasted money, but nobody told you about opportunity cost. You've been told owning builds wealth, but nobody showed you the total cost of ownership, maintenance, interest, property tax, lost liquidity. You weren't given the full equation, just the emotional version of it. And emotions are easy to sell. Because when someone buys a house, they don't just buy walls. They buy identity, stability, success. I made it. And when you rent, it feels temporary, uncertain, like you're still figuring things out. But what if that feeling is the illusion? But here's what nobody tells you about money. The smartest financial decisions don't feel good in the moment. They feel uncertain. They feel uncomfortable. They feel like you're going against what everyone else is doing. And this is where everything you thought you knew breaks. Because the wealthy don't ask, "Should I rent or buy?" They ask something very different. What gives me more control over my money, over time? And sometimes the answer is renting. Let that sit for a second. There's a guy who was earning 1.5 lakh rupees a month. Everyone around him was buying homes. He could afford it. Banks were ready. Friends were pushing him. But he didn't. He rented a smaller place, invested the difference every single month. Nothing flashy, no big risks. 10 years later, he didn't just have a house. He had options, cash, investments, flexibility. And that's the part most people miss. Because what happens next is the part nobody shows you. The person who buys early often becomes house rich, but cash poor, EMI locked, decisions restricted, risk tolerance gone. Every financial move becomes slower, heavier, because one mistake now has consequences. And this is where it gets deeper, because this isn't really about property, It's about how you think about money itself. Most people believe money is about spending wisely, but that's not the real game. Money is about preserving choices. Every decision you make either expands your future or slowly closes doors you didn't even realize you had. And renting versus buying is one of the biggest door-closing decisions you'll ever make. The first thing people believe is that buying is always better because at least you own something. But ownership isn't freedom. Ownership is responsibility. And responsibility has a cost. Not just money, but time, stress, and reduced flexibility. Because once you commit, you can't easily undo it. The people who win understand this. They don't chase ownership, they chase leverage. They ask, what gives me the highest return for the lowest commitment? And sometimes, that's renting. The second belief is that rent is wasted money. But wasted compared to what? Because if renting allows you to invest aggressively, move for better opportunities, avoid locking into bad timing, then rent isn't waste. It's a strategic expense, like fuel. You don't complain that fuel is wasted because it's taking you somewhere. The question is your rent taking you somewhere or just keeping you stuck? This is where it gets uncomfortable because most people aren't choosing rent or buying based on math. They're choosing based on fear. Fear of missing out, fear of falling behind, fear of being judged, and fear is expensive. It makes you rush decisions. It makes you ignore long-term consequences. It makes you say yes when you should be asking better questions. And then there's the third belief, that timing doesn't matter, that you should just get in. But timing is everything. Buy at the wrong time, and you spend years just recovering. Rent at the wrong time, and you drift without building anything. This is why the question isn't rent or buy. It's what phase of life are you in, and what does that require? Because money isn't static, your life isn't static, and the decision you make today needs to serve the version of you 5 years from now, not the one trying to impress people today. And this is the part most people avoid thinking about, because it forces you to confront something deeper. You don't actually want a house. You want what the house represents: security, control, proof that you're doing okay. But what if you could build those without rushing into the biggest financial commitment of your life? Now, here's the uncomfortable truth. Your lifestyle right now isn't fully yours. It's influenced, designed, shaped. Every ad, every success story, every just bought my first home post, it's all pushing you toward a decision, not necessarily the right one, just the profitable one for someone else. Banks win when you take long loans. Builders win when you buy early. Society wins when you follow the script. But you? You carry the risk. 5 years from now, if you keep going the same way, you'll either be locked into payments or stuck in indecision. 10 years from now, you'll either have built something intentional or just reacted to pressure. 20 years from now, you won't care about what people said you should do. You'll care about whether you had control or spent your life chasing the feeling of it. So now you're here, same question. Rent or buy? But it doesn't feel like a simple choice anymore, because now you can see the layers, the trade-offs, the hidden costs, the psychological traps, and more importantly, you can see yourself in it. You can keep doing what most people do, follow the timeline, make the safe-looking decision, hope it works out. Or you can slow down, question everything, make a decision based on your reality, not someone else's expectations. One path feels comfortable now, but expensive later. The other feels uncertain now, but powerful later. So what do you actually want? A house or control? Because you don't always get both at the same time. And if you're honest, you already know which one you've been choosing. The question isn't whether renting or buying is better. The question is, are you making the decision, or is it being made for you? Your move,